Hello, people. This is DeRoy Cruz, your life applications officer. As you know, if anybody's been following my channel, you know that I've been lately getting into the subject of defending diversity, but also defending white people as a race and a culture. If I'm saying that right, let me say that again. If you've been watching, you know that I have been defending diversity because I am black and I am an American. And I also defend white people as a race and a culture. And as I said in the other videos that I had done on the subject, what got me into this, talking about this, is I found out watching YouTube, I found out that there's a society of people out there that are coming together and they're saying ironic stuff that is wrong for me to say as a black man. And I agree, it's wrong for me to say it as a black man. And I don't know if they're retaliating because of all the crime going on in so-called black America, or all the terrorism going on through Islamic corruption, Islamic terror and corruption. Maybe that's what got these people saying some of this ironic, silly stuff that they're saying. One of the things that all black people have in common, besides the other things that we don't have in common, and there are different cultures of black folks. There are different cultures, I should say, of black Americans. You have a culture out there that is totally hating on the system and totally hating on the state of America as far as what's working and what's not working, what is the truth behind the scenes. It's hard for me to explain what that is. There's a group of black folks out there, a society of black folks out there, that blame every problem that they have on anything but themselves and their own shortcomings, their own lack of education, their own lack of understanding how the world works. There's a culture of black folks out there that, without a race war, without a hatred towards white folks and Asians, they don't even exist. They cannot exist unless there is war. And then there's people like me. And that's just, that's just naming three. But there are people like me who are just dedicated citizens, dedicated Americans, understanding that however we got here, that doesn't give us the right to change what America is all about and what put America together and made America the free enterprise that it is. I understand that. And there's a lot of black people that understand that. And they live that out. They act that out. I work with them every day. But yet you got these white people who are now coming out of the clear blue, out of nowhere, just like Black Lives Matter. Where'd they come from? They just come out of nowhere. And they're saying, we just want to be what our own. We just want to be white. It sounds like a child talking to me. It sounds childish. For someone to say something like that, you don't know very much about how life works and how, first of all, let me say this. We all understand that black folks doing things like creating Black Lives Matter and the violence that goes on the Colin Flaherty channel. We understand that stuff has to stop. I know that. That's got to stop. And I also agree with Colin Flaherty that, there's all these white people. And I understand Lana Lockteff, Red Ice Network. I understand there's all these white people that are claiming, they're saying dumb stuff as well, like, it's wrong to be white. That's just dumb. And they're saying, oh, we got to get rid of white supremacy. And I think that's a hellhole. I think that's a trap. Because if you say, whether you're white or black, if you say that we have to escape white supremacy, then you have to explain what white supremacy is. What is it? Where is it? Who's in charge of it? Who's running this? What's his name? So, all of us black people have this in common. And that is understanding what it means to be black. Now, some of us, we only understand what it means to be black from back in the day. We still think we're living in 1940s. Some people. They refuse to accept that times have changed. They refuse to accept that black folks can vote. Black folks can buy and sell and own businesses. They seem to forget, and they don't seem to understand, that the place where Emmett Till was abused and murdered is a totally different place now. Even the South itself, where a lot of racism still exists, and it does. And when I say racism in the South, I mean the lynching of black folks, the lynching, the segregation. We don't want black folks crossing a certain line. Black folks in certain neighborhoods and states can't be represented or come to the same heights as white folks, because it would be, to those white folks, it would be reverse racism. It would be, it's illegal, it's wrong, you can't do that. Okay? But nobody, and you know, it is true, we can talk about Colin Flaherty and we can add up all the black on black, black on white, black on Asian, black on Arab, black on dog, cat, turtle, you know, black on spiders, you know, like Colin Flaherty be saying. We can add all that up all we want to. But you still have not walked in our shoes. You still have not understood what it means to be black. And that is the truth. There's no way out of it. Until you understand what it means to be black. Now, what does it mean to be black? It doesn't mean that we think we're ugly. And that's why we hate everybody else's beauty. Okay? It doesn't mean that we feel that we can't do this, so we don't want other people doing it either. We can't get the education that we need, so we want to burn down the schools. We want to attack all the white kids going to school. That might look that way on the Colin Flaherty channel, but that's not the way it really is. That might be the way it is for those kids in that particular neighborhood, but that's not the way it is all over the world. That's not the demon in the shadows that is evolving. That's not what that is. You need to deal with that situation in that town with those kids. That situation's not going on in my neck of the woods. Although in the particular plot of land that I'm living right now, there's a lot of killings of blacks every day by blacks. Okay? A lot of violence, domestic violence, the typical ghetto nonsense. But I just moved here, and I lived in another neighborhood less than 30 minutes from here. Totally different thing. Totally different thing. Okay? We don't expect anybody to understand or have to educate themselves what it means to be black. What it means to be black is this. Are black people more violent than white people? In certain parts of the world, in certain places, yes. Are black people less educated than white people? In certain places, in a lot of places, yes. Are black people more likely to have children out of wedlock? Domestic violence. and to be without a job and to be on welfare. And yes, in a lot of places, in more places than not, yes, it's true. And that is the other side of what it means to be black, because one side of being black, we go through racism every day like it's nothing. We go through it every day. The other side of being black is looking at other black people that embarrass us. Just like I'm dealing with some young black people right now that embarrass me. And I had a talk with somebody today that was white. And I had to explain what happened between me and these other black folks. That we don't get along. Okay? You got racism every day. I can't just get in my car and see, this doesn't show. See, there's that situation of being black that doesn't show up on the Colin Flaherty channel. And I'm not saying that it's worthy of violence. But I know a guy right now, a white man right now, that if, and obviously he's silly and stupid, okay? But if he saw me in a restaurant, well, not a restaurant, a supermarket, he would start saying, "Hail Hitler." I know a white man right now that would do that if he saw me. He would start saying, "Hail Hitler." Now, it's kind of dumb because I'm not a Jew. But anybody, whether you're white or black, knows what he's doing. He's making a racial remark. And why? Okay, and if I got offended by it or showed that I was willing to defend myself by it, he would let it go to the next level where we would start fighting. And how many white people would stick up for me in a predominantly white neighborhood and predominantly white supermarket? How many white people would take up for me if, everybody can see the dude's making a racial remark at me? Even though it's a kind of a dumb racial remark because I'm not a Jew. But at the same time, would I be wrong for punching him in his face? For doing that? Would I be wrong if I shoved him into a rack of green beans? Or hit him upside his head with one of them little shopping buggies or something? Would I be wrong? Being he's insulting me in public? And then what happens when we get into a scuffle and finally the cops show up? Was I wrong for hitting him first? Being he was insulting me that way in public in front of everybody, and nobody walked up in between us and said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 man, you don't do that in our supermarket." No, I know what they do. This is what it means to be black. They're going to come up there, they're going to say, "Well, I don't know what was going on. The black dude was saying something to the white dude. There's something. The white dude was saying something or doing something, and he didn't like it. So I don't know. I think the black dude tackled him and pushed him into, you know what I'm saying? And then what did the cops do? They'll, oh well, another day of ghetto nonsense coming into our neighborhood. I have to be careful of where I drive to. Just recently, a few years ago, I walked into a restaurant right next door to my job. And they told me, my kind does not come in there. And I told them, I asked them, what does that mean? They says, okay, humor yourself. Your kind does not come in here. You might not want to eat in here. And I never ever tried to eat in there again. Another place in the neighborhood that I just moved from to here because I was homeless. That has nothing to do with the color of my skin. White folks didn't make me homeless. I was homeless because I was stupid and I failed to do the right thing. But I ended up homeless and living up here in this ghetto. Okay. But where I just moved from, just less than less than 20 years ago, the Ku Klux Klan used to do rallies in that neighborhood right here in Pennsylvania. Less than 20 years ago, the KKK used to do rallies in that neighborhood. The same neighborhood that I enjoyed living in just 3 years ago. And there were restaurants in there. First time I walked in there was probably a little bit over 10 years ago. And I wanted to get something to eat, and they said, you're in the wrong place. They tried to tell me the place was just for bikers. But I seen other people in there, other white people, go in there to eat. Especially, you know, the white dude, Mr. Sharp, handsome face with the hot white chick, go in there to eat. But just 5 years ago, I went in there to eat. The people were so very nice to me. And as soon as I walked in, they come running at me with the menu. And I told them my story. They don't recall. That's another thing about being black. White folks never recall the incident. I says, are you the same people that was here 20 years ago? They don't recall that ever being a racist restaurant. So times have changed. And I told them, I says, well, they told me, I'm calling it racism. They told me that place was only for bikers because the biker place is right next door, and this is owned by the biker shop. But, and they told me, they spilled the beans at the same time. They says, this has never been just open to bikers. Okay, so that tells me that there's a new management running the business now. Over the last 10 years. But this is what we go through, people. There is black racism, or should I say racism against blacks, still going on in this country. And not just coming from white folks. But there's Arabs who act out a certain way and they try to segregate themselves from blacks. You go into a neighborhood that's over half the population is Arab. Arabs will try to act like you don't belong. You go into a place that's where over half the population is Asian. Asians will act like blacks don't belong. But white folks, and this is where that term white supremacy comes from. White folks can go anywhere they want to go. They can go from here to Africa. They can go from here to Saudi Arabia. They can go from here to, you know what I'm saying? Now, and these white nationalists will sit there and say that they've traveled the world. How the heck you travel the world and you ain't dead? Speaking the message that you're speaking. You mean to tell me you went into Africa? Talking about white nationalism? Let me go into Russia, talking about black nationalism, and see if I come out alive. Or see if I come out without being put in jail for a long time. There is black folks suffering from racism every day. It's a fact. And there is a form of, I don't call it white supremacy, other people do. But there is a form of white culture that can do whatever it wants to do and nobody's going to stop them. And so when people like Lana Locktiff and the Red Ice Network, people like Richard Spencer, go to running their mouths about we want to be white, we just want to have our own, and we just want to cry me a frickin' river. When Colin Flaherty, and I love his channel, I love to keep up his, on his channel. I'm one of his subscribers. But when he sits there and talks about just how much black mob so-called violence is going on, the thing that I want to say is, well, come on, Colin, let's get busy and fix it then. Come on, Colin. Get together with your brother. Get together with your black brother and let's fix it. What are you going to do to fix it, Colin? Huh? What are you going to do to fix it? Some of the people, his subscribers, will see my face show up in the comment section and say, it's your job to fix it. Why? Why is it my job? Did I create the problem? I'm a totally different black person coming from a totally different culture. Did I create this problem? Why do I have to fix it? No, it's all of our problem. All of us need to come together and fix it because you got blacks going through stuff every day when they've been Americans for how long now? But see, again, though, it's not just blacks that go through white racism. It's Asians. Some Asians, depending on what area. It's Arabs and it's Spanish. Okay? Where I work at, we're very diverse. And nobody speaks to the Asians that do housekeeping. No one speaks to the Spanish people that do housekeeping. And the ones that have higher positions in the same work environment, they come together and they try to act like they're separating themselves from everybody else. That is their way of dealing with the fact that they're being treated like a minority is to come together and separate themselves from everybody else. It's dumb. We all should be eating together, laughing together. We should be going on dates together. We should be going to church together and worshiping God together. Walking our dogs together, sitting down and doing an art piece together. It's okay to take something that was originally black and make it universal. It's okay to take something that was originally white and make it black. It's okay to take something that was Asian and make it American. Take something that was Arab and make it American. Take something that's Mexican. You know, it's okay for you to walk into a Mexican restaurant and act like you own the place with your white or black self. When everybody behind the counter is Mexican, you don't know what they putting in your food. But it's okay for you to walk in there with your arrogant behind and act like this is your country and you own the block. But it's wrong for us to be one. It's wrong for us to come together and be diverse. And it's wrong for us to love each other like brothers and sisters. As if God created us to be each other's enemies. God and equality. Did God create us equal? Did he? Acts chapter 17:26 says this, and by one blood he has created all humans from one blood and designed their appointed destinies and their boundaries from one blood. It also says their times. So yes, there is a time. There was a time when we needed to protect our culture and land, not because we were worried about it being mixed with other blood, but because to protect the humans that live on that plot of ground, because it was not about mixing, but it was about making you either a slave or point blank dead. But if there's no slaves, and we're all loving each other and ain't hating each other and ain't trying to ain't trying to annihilate each other, then we should all be able to live in peace, in harmony as brothers and sisters. And who cares? Anything you add to so-called white pigment is going to make it brown. Okay? Even if two white people lay down together and one of them has a certain amount of, you know, Indian, you know, African DNA in them or anything of that nature, he's going to have more melanation, if I'm saying that right, in his skin, in his pigment, less cancer cells in his body. Take it from my Amish brothers and sisters. Take it from my Amish brothers and sisters. There's a lot of them at my place of work. Just this week, we had a ball laughing. We shouldn't be doing that, but it was just funny. It was like you're sitting there talking, you turn around, it's Halloween. Like, is it Halloween again already? But I mean, they're nice people, you know, and they're gonna come in there and they got to go through everybody that ain't Amish to get out of there, you know. But then when they get to back to their part of Pennsylvania where they feel comfortable, then they want to act racist. I know it. I've been through it. But I had to help them pay a ticket, help them find their car, show them how to use the elevator. But then when they get back to, what is it, Puxatawny, it was probably coming from, then all of a sudden they want to act like I'm intruding. But they didn't feel like they was intruding when they had to come and, use my facilities. Think about it. God did create us to be equal. Whatever war that we are in is not a war to keep us from mixing. It is not a war to separate us, but it is a war to bring us together. Now, I agree that all the immoralities and all the forcing one culture above another needs to stop. I agree with Lana Lockteff on that. What I don't agree with is that people are immoral because they're black or they're Arab. People rape because they're black or because they're Arab. People mix because they're black or they're Arab and they don't have enough goodness in themselves, so they want to take away some of your white goodness. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I gotta admit, it's easy for me to say that because I'm black. Because why? I come from a group of people that once were nothing. They had to push to become something. And even to this day, while Colin Flaherty's complaining about all the black mob violence, us other side of the spectrum, people like me and a lot of people that I work with, we're still treated like trash every day. We still have that tendency to drive up 10 minutes from here, 5 minutes from here. People looking at us like we don't belong, acting like we don't belong. I'm standing too close to you. I'm invading your space. And the proof is, look how many black people hate me. Why do they hate me? I had a black dude just recently accuse me of being a racist. He told my boss, I'm a racist. a black dude, told my boss that another black dude is a racist because the black dude is in a position of leadership. And I had to use my badge to tell him what the policies and procedures are. And he didn't like the policies and procedures, so he called me a racist. I totally understand what Miss Lana Lockteff is saying. I understand what she's going through. But guess what, Miss Lana? I'm going through it too. It's not about this. It's about people who are falling further and further away from Almighty God. Trying to call hate a good thing. And that's going both coming from you, Miss Lana, as well as people like Black Lives Matter and these new breeds of white generations coming up that are claiming that it's wrong to be white. Whatever that means, fill me in. 'Cause I'm lost. Because as I say in every video, I love white people. And I love the white people in my life just the way they are. I'm not trying to multiculturalize them. I thought we were already multiculturalized a long time ago. Before Black Lives Matter ever existed. Before Lana Lockteff ever came up with her network. Let's try love. Let's try love. If you ever notice kids, when they see kids, they see kids. They don't see black or white or any other race. They see kids. When a dog sees a dog, it sees a dog. Okay? Why do we need kids to teach humans, adult humans, how to act? When a kid sees another kid, let me give you a quick story, I'm closing. When I was raising my little cousins, back when they were babies, just young little girls, their mama and dad split up, and their dad remarried a white lady. White lady had a daughter, a little blonde-haired girl, and they loved to play together with, my cousins like to play with their half sister. But their mama felt it was wrong for them to play in the little white girl's hair and to pinch her face and all that. And for her to ask them questions about their hair and pinch their face and all that good stuff. Why? And that is the truth behind what God has created. Okay? But as we become more educated, and as we become parents, and as we become more and more adults, sometimes we get more and more stupid. Let's face it, racism, segregation, white nationalism, Black Lives Matter, whatever you want to call it, is taught to kids. They don't just pick it up naturally. It's taught to them. We're taught to hate each other and to stereotype each other. Okay? while we claim to be peaceful. Let's try genuine love and equality. Let's start there. And then let's decide what America is all about. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.